The Senate just announced a bill to hold ATF accountable for NFA-related 88-day NICS denials and overly long processing times, and it has a lot of support. Hi, I'm Ben, and this is the Minuteman Moment. The bill in question is called the ATF Transparency Act. It was introduced by Senator James Risch from Idaho and is backed by GOA. Senator Risch is joined by fellow senators Mike Crapo, Rick Scott, Cynthia Lummis, James Lankford, and Roger Marshall as co-sponsors of this bill. The act itself aims to enhance fairness, transfer times, and transparency of the ATF's background checks process for NFA items. It would do that by, first, requiring that the ATF develop an appeals process to protect law-abiding citizens' NFA background checks from being wrongfully denied, similar to how the FBI is forced by law to protect Americans who were wrongfully denied a firearms purchase. Second, it would require that the ATF process applications within 90 days. You read that right, 90 days. No ifs and or buts about it. If the ATF fails to process the applications after 90 days, applications will be automatically approved. And finally, the act would require reports by the Government Accountability Office and the Department of Justice on the number of NFA items involved in unresolved background checks from 2014 to 2021, and outlining recommendations to minimize unresolved background checks. In addition to that, the act would require a report on the extent of FBI involvement in background checks and require the ATF and FBI develop a joint agreement on these background check processes. Currently, ATF has no incentive to speed up NFA processing times. After cashing your $200 check, you may wait for over a year before being approved to take home your NFA item. This is because ATF employees, aka government employees, are paid regardless of how many forms they complete. So there's no real mandate or incentive to expedite the process of approving NFA forms. We're seeing this play out in real time with current e-form wait times. Wait times for NFA items filed digitally have gone from just a few weeks to now months. Soon, filing digitally will have the same infamous wait times as paper forms. That means years of waiting for a purchase that could literally be completed over the counter. This is 2023, folks, not 1934, and the government shouldn't need a year simply to transfer a suppressor. These long wait times further delay gun owners from the ability to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And remember, a right delayed is a right denied. If you remember from our SHOT Show floor coverage of the 88-day open background check denial, the government has no problem denying you that right, just because they're too lazy to actually process your information. Holding the ATF accountable and preventing them from arbitrarily denying gun owners their rights because their bureaucracy is stuck in 1934 is more than ever necessary. Millions of people who want to file an e-form to comply with the ATF's pistol brace rule could be felons by doing nothing wrong except for the grave mistake of trusting the government to be efficient and their databases to be correct. But often, the databases relied on by the ATF and FBI to conduct these background checks are filled with garbage, old records that haven't been updated, or records that are mistakenly matched to someone with a common name. That's why congressional action is required to force ATF to speed up their process times and create an appeals process for wrongful denials. Aiden Johnston, GOA's Director of Federal Affairs, told Fox News that ATF has deceived Congress and the American public with inaccurate NFA approval estimates for far too long. It shouldn't take a bureaucrat any longer than 90 days to process paperwork, and ATF certainly shouldn't be denying approval to make or transfer a firearm on day 88 just to skirt that deadline because they didn't finish a background check on time. We're excited to be working with Congress to get this bill passed, but we need your help. Please call the number on your screen and tell your senators to support the ATF Transparency Act. ATF routinely states that they want to process forms within 90 days, so the act seeks to hold them accountable. Even if you live in an anti-gun state, remember that by making that phone call, you're representing your fellow constituents and making your voice heard. Oftentimes, a phone call is thought of by elected officials as representing 10 people who feel the same way about an issue. This issue also isn't just about firearms. It's about bureaucratic agencies operating behind closed doors at the public's expense and to the detriment of our constitutional rights. Any honest senator or representative should want more transparency in government for their constituents and even for anti-gun representatives. How can they argue with due process? They can't. So again, please call your elected officials and tell them to support the ATF's Transparency Act. And before anyone starts asking why we aren't going directly after the NFA, we are. With the SHORT Act and Congressional Review Act already in the works, we're dedicated to fighting any and all infringements. The ATF Transparency Act is still a step in the right direction. It would help gun owners around the country seeking to purchase NFA items, normalizing them and making it even easier for bills like the SHORT Act and NFA repeal to be widely accepted. The ATF routinely states they want to process forms within 90 days. Let's hold them to that promise. Thanks for watching the Minuteman Moment. I'll see you next time.